Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Nickel City Mafia channel. This is my inaugural stream, and I couldn't be more excited to get started with this. My name is Michael Thornton, and I'm coming to you live from Southern California today. In today's session, I'm going to talk about where the idea came from about creating the Nickel City Mafia channel, what it is, what is Nickel City Mafia, my ties to Nickel City, and I'm going to take you a little stroll down memory lane to kind of walk through where I grew up, using a very cool tool called Google Maps Street View. And then we're going to get into what is the meat of the channel, what are we going to be bringing to you week to week. And initially I'm going to stream once a week, every Saturday, 7 a.m. I hope to bring in more streams during the week. I have some friends that want to help me out with that. So, super excited. Let's get going. So let's talk about the idea for the channel. So, funny story. Last month, I turned 55, and it was a monumental day, right? I started to be able to order off of all the senior citizen menus, get some food, start saving some money. I made a lot of fun of that, and I went to one of my favorite restaurants, Bandits, which is a place out here in California, and I enjoyed a free breakfast, and I took advantage of all of the senior discounts that I could. But I got to thinking, as I get older, I'd like to challenge myself. And I had seen my kids watching YouTube videos, so much content. I have 2 children here that live with me in California. I'm not going to say their names to protect the innocent. I have 3 beautiful children that actually live out there in Buffalo. So shout out to all of you. Love all of you. So, so last month I got this idea. What can I do to challenge myself? I see the kids always watching all this YouTube content. And, I'm thinking to myself, and I actually joke with them, I'm like, why can't you guys be doing this? I have a 16-year-old here and an 8-year-old. Now, the 8-year-old's a little young, but I see these YouTube streamers, and somebody mentioned midlife crisis. Yeah, maybe so, but at least I didn't, opt for the convertible, the red convertible, and all the other stuff that comes with midlife crisis normally. But yeah, so the kids inspired me a little bit. I figured, hey, you know what? Let me inspire them. Let me challenge myself. Let me inspire them. Maybe if they see Dad doing it, they'll, maybe they'll have the courage to do it. So I'm outside of my norm here. I'm not a professional speaker. I'm not a professional streamer. I'm just a regular guy. I actually work in the tech world. I manage a group of great developers out here in Southern California. And that's what I've done for the past 25 years. So, that was kind of where the idea of the channel came from. And let me talk a little bit about the name. I mean, Nickel City Mafia. Some of you may not even know what the heck that means or what that's all about. So Nickel City is a nickname given to this great city of Buffalo, where I grew up. And it actually came from, switch over here real quick. It got its nickname from this nickel that was circulated in 1913 to 1938. As you can see, it had the Native American on the front, the bison on the back, thus the Buffalo connection, thus the nickname. So that's where, I wanted to put a spin on the city of Buffalo name, and that's where the Nickel City came from. So yes, there it is. This is all about Buffalo. Mafia, for you guys out there, you know what the Mafia is. Bill's Mafia. I kind of wanted to go on a broader spectrum with the Mafia term, kind of covering all of Buffalo. I'm going to be talking about a lot of topics that cover Buffalo, and then other things too. I plan on having some guests, and I'll talk about that later. So, talking about my ties to Buffalo, well, I grew up in a little area, and I'm going to take you on a stroll down memory lane here in a little bit, so bear with me. But, yeah. I'm going to take you on a stroll. Excuse me a sec here. Hopefully the stream's still coming through. I got a little error message popping up that happens when you go live for the first time. Let me just make sure that's good. Yeah. Alright, we're back here. Alright, so my ties to Buffalo. Again, I grew up in a little area known as Little Hollywood and a community known as the Valley. Why was it called the Valley? I'm going to show you here in a little bit. It's not the same any longer, but in order to get to the valley, you had to cross over a bridge. The whole valley was kind of bordered by bridges. You could only get in through a bridge, or through the freeway exit, and even that came over a bridge. So I'll show you some of that here in a little bit. So let's get into that right now. Again, I want to take you on a little tour, so bear with me. I'm actually going to take you around the neighborhood, and I'm going to take you on a stroll to my walk to school. I'm going to get a little busted with my kids here. I always tell them, because in today's society, we got to drop our kids off at school, right? My kids go to school maybe 3-4 blocks away, and I have to take them to school. And I tell them the story. I'm sure all of you do share that story, that we all had to. All right, well, I'm sorry, guys, if you get a little buffer in here. I'm getting some warnings here on YouTube, and again, this is my first stream. It'll get better over time. I'll make some adjustments, so I apologize if you're experiencing some issues there. But yeah, as I was saying, my kids, I always say, you know, we had to walk to school through rain, shine, or snow, 5 miles, 5 miles a day. Well, when I take you on this tour, if this works, you're going to see that it really wasn't 5 miles. But I tell you what, as a 10-year-old walking through snow, it felt like 10 miles. We had, myself, I had a single parent raising me and my brother down there on Exchange Street, which I'm going to show you. And she was working, she didn't even have a car. So, and a lot of the neighborhood friends, same thing, we all walked together. So we would start walking, see who we could find, group together, and walk there. So let me take you on a little tour. And I'm going to ask the channel here, is everybody seeing things okay? Just a real quick check. I'm getting some warnings from YouTube. How's things looking on your side? I'm going to keep going with that. All right. So again, my community that I grew up on was in a community called the Valley. And I'm going to show you on the right side here, before I left in 1982, I left in 1982, but this on the right represents what was around me when I lived there. This is Seneca Street right here on this on the right side, and this bridge over here on the left was the entry into the valley. That was Smith Street right there. On the left, you can see the new view. They tore down those bridges. I believe it happened in 1985, 1986. And my goodness, look at how much earth was moved for this new landscaping that they did in Buffalo. I think they did this in other areas, but this was a big one. And those bridges, my friends and I, we used to hang out underneath those bridges. Those railroad tracks, those were active railroad tracks. We had to be careful, obviously, for the trains, but you could also get in trouble with the railroad security hanging out, so you had to be careful. Anyhow, that was what it looked like when I was there, a kid, and now it looks like this over on the left. So I'm going to take you on a little tour using a cool tool called Google Maps Street View. And if you haven't used it before, I highly recommend it. If you want to go back and take a stroll back in memory lane, like I'm going to do right now, it's a great tool for that. If you want to go anywhere in the United States with it, you could. Maybe you want to say, you've never been to Las Vegas. Man, you might say, I want to go see what it's like to walk down the strip of Las Vegas. You can use that tool, and I'm going to show you a little bit about that tool right now. All right. So what you see right here is kind of that view that I had on the left. This is Seneca Street. This is where a bridge used to be. This is a very busy street. So is the intersection up here at the light. You had Seneca Street connecting to Smith Street, and then on the right was Fillmore Street. Super busy. So what I'm going to do here is take you down a little bit, and I'm going to show you how you would get into the valley. So again, over here, this was Smith Street, and now imagine, this is a bridge when I grew up. You could not get to my street from the way you're going to see right now. My street here is known as Exchange Street. You could not get to that street when the bridge was there. You basically had to continue on down the bridge. The bridge would start to decline or descend, and it would finally level out right here at this street, this stoplight here called Mitten. you can see to the right there was a ramp for the freeway as well. I think they actually call it highways out there back east, if I can remember. We call it freeways out here. So that bridge leveled off right here. In order to get into my neighborhood, you had to make a left turn there on Minton, right over here on this street, or you could actually make a little U-turn and come into the street, which, imagine the bridge. So imagine the yellow line right there. That was the wall to the bridge. All these houses were kind of protected from the bridge by this huge wall. And I can imagine when they tore that down, I mean, what kind of, how did they tear it down? And if anyone is from that area and has some information, I would love for you to put a comment in the comment section. I actually have an aunt who still lives there. She lives right in this house right here. Hello, Auntie, if you ever see this. I've been trying to get a hold of her. She's a busy lady, but someday I'll connect with her and I'll get the story, because she was right there. And this little yellow line, because you pretty much had enough to park a car. Over here on the right, you could park your car. And there was enough room for you to get by. And then there was the wall of that bridge. So pretty amazing stuff that they tore all this down. I'm still curious, what kind of damage did it do? What kind of dust did it cause? And did the city do anything for the folks around here? A lot of these houses have stood the test of time. I don't know how far back these houses are dated, but let me tell you, they're very, very, very old. But they look good. So let's continue on here. I'm going to take you down now to the street I lived in. I lived here from the age of 8 years old to the age of 16. This was Exchange Street. Notice how cool this tool is, right? I'm a tech guy, so I'm nerding out on this tool here. So here we are. I'm walking down Exchange Street. The first house that we lived in, and we only lived here 2 years, was right here. Now you can't see it, but in the back of this house, so this is where our landlord lived, and I'm gonna go over here slightly to the right here. Now you can see this house in the back. So my mom, myself, my brother, we rented this house. We lived upstairs. We were the tenants upstairs. There were folks downstairs. This yard used to be very open. The landlord would lay out and suntan a lot. That was the thing. My mom would lay out there. We'd have picnics. We played badminton, believe it or not, over there. So this was all opened up. Didn't have any of these trees. We stayed there for about 2 years. By the way, I want you to note, on my way around my neighborhood, help me keep track of how many bars we're going to come across. There's a little joke in Buffalo that there's a bar at every corner. And while that's not necessarily true, there's plenty of them. So let's take a look. So we moved 2 years later, when I was 10, down to the corner. Again, I have relatives that still live on the street. I lived in this green house down at the very end over here where I'm hovering. Next to it was some friends. To the right of where we lived, there was actually another bar. So let's count that, bar number 1. Bar number 2 is this one with the sign that says Zonkers. It was not called Zonkers. Back when I was a kid, it was actually called Babe's Bar. Looks like it's out of commission these days. So I had 2 bars around me. But, it was a close-knit community and neighborhood, and they were very friendly, very uneventful for bars in Buffalo. I lived other places in Buffalo when I was older in life, and when the bars let out, there were always some crazy events going on. I remember many fights happening. So anyhow, we were actually, as kids, the owners of these bars would let us go in during the day. We couldn't hang out, but we'd go in there and buy some candy. It only took us a nickel. I only need to find 5 cents and I can go buy some candy. And these guys were super nice, both of them. I'm not sure when the bar next to the right of our house over here was torn down. Maybe when the bridge was destroyed. Again, this is not the original bridge. It used to have that steel bridge, and we could go underneath it. We'd hang out. We could, people would park their cars. And we also had a direct connect over to the railroads. About 100 yards to the right, if you were to go further, this was a trail, and underneath the bridge, you can get to the railroads. And they were active railroads. Before I go on here, let me check what's going on in the channel. Make sure everybody's still okay. Hey, Tom. Dad, good to see you guys. Rick, thanks for coming out, supporting. Appreciate it. Hopefully everything sounds okay. Hopefully you're still seeing everything. Let's go on here. So I'm going to start my journey here to school, and I'm going to, again, we've got 2 bars now, right? So I'm going to walk another block. This was Selkirk. You know, look at these homes, and a lot of these homes are still the same. And one thing I want to note is I don't know how often Google Street View updates their views. So if anyone in the neighborhood is still there or has family there and has visited recently, if it's changed based on what I'm showing you today, please put some comments in the channel there. But you can see I actually have a relative right here who lived many years in this brown house, one of my aunts. So we'd start our walk in the morning to school. We'd get to the first block, Minton. We could travel on down to Clifford, but I'm going to go up Minton because there's another, guess what? There's another bar on the path here. So we'd go down Minton. If I saw friends starting their journey to school, I would just join up with them. Again, we like to walk in groups. If I didn't see anyone here, I could go further down to Clifford Street and meet up with some friends there. But here I am walking down to Minton Street. This little vacant area right here, guess what? It was a bar. So count them, 3 bars so far on my trip to school. And it's true, Buffalo loves to party, but they're wonderful people. So here we are. I'm now getting on my main street to start my walk to school. A lot of these places still look the same. It's incredible to me. So I'm going to walk up here. Clifford was where this next street here is Clifford. Again, we could walk all the way down to Clifford and come up to Smith this way. A lot of good friends in this neighborhood, a lot of great people. And again, this area where I lived was known as Little Hollywood. I have no clue why it was called Little Hollywood, but I like to think it was because of all us stars that came out of it. Anyhow, let's travel on a little bit. One of the great areas that I'm happy to see still there is the playground. This is where we'd all get together and kind of have a lot of fun. At some point in the day, typically we would all meet here. This all the slides and the monkey bars, they were originally all up front here where this initial concrete slab is here. Looks like they moved it up at some point, probably to get it away from the street. But this is where they all were originally. We had a little clubhouse over here. This is where I kissed my first girl. I mean, come on, there's a lot of fond memories here. We played baseball, we played football, we played street hockey on those basketball courts. And looks like when I lived there, they only had 1 basketball court. Looks like they extended it to 2. Anyhow, let me travel on here. Get you through this. Bear with me. We're almost here, and we're almost through with this, and then we'll get to the meat of what this channel is going to be about. So I'm going to take a little pivot here, but I want you to note bar number 4. Yes, bar number 4 doesn't look like it's open anymore, but it was open when I was a youngster. So here we go. Bar number 4. It's amazing that well, you'll hear here in a little bit. I won't spoil that. So let's keep going. I'm going to take a little pivot. I only have a couple more blocks where I take a right, and then I'll get to school, and you'll see some other things that were important in my life. But I'm going to take a little pivot and go down a street called Perry right here. Perry Street. And the reason this is important, and this is a little bit funny, but one of my claims to fame in life is that I've only had 2 beers. And I had my first 2 beers and my last 2 beers right here underneath this bridge. Genesee beer. Tell you a little story. I can't even believe I'm going to tell you this, but when I graduated from 8th grade, a bunch of my friends, somebody spearheaded the idea of, hey, let's get together and have our first beers. One of my friends had a sister who was 18 years old. At the time, you could buy alcohol at that time. She said, hey, you get me the money. I think it was, I don't know, we all had to contribute $1. But we got our first 2 beers. We drank them under this bridge. And I got to tell you, I don't think I finished my 2. Genesee beer, not for me. You gotta remember, I was just a kid who drank Pepsi all the time and juice. And here I am opening this beer for the first time. Pretty disgusting. So I want to thank Genesee Beer for keeping me away from alcohol for the rest of my life. So again, that was my first 2 beers and my last 2 beers, and any alcohol drink right here under this bridge. And by the way, this bridge was a hot spot for hanging out. So fun times. I'm going to check the channel real quick, make sure all you folks are doing okay. You can still hear me all right. Yeah, all us stars, Rick. A lot of stars came out of Little Hollywood. Why do you think they came up with the name? I didn't know that, Dad. I did not know you lived on Minton. That's pretty cool. Anyhow, if my mom, don't ever tell my mom. She still doesn't know about this little bridge trip, so please keep that quiet. Anyhow, let's loop on back here. So remember, our count of bars is up to 4 at this point, right? This was the 4th bar that I crossed on my way to school. I would go down a little bit further here to a street called Fulton Street. Had a lot of friends there. And let me point out, bar number 5. Yes, bar number 5, folks. And I'm sure I'm going to miss a few on this little trip. But yeah, bar number 5. I had a lot of good friends there on this street. I'm hoping to reconnect. Part of this channel is hoping to reconnect with a lot of the friends that I had back there. A lot of them are my friends on Facebook, but I'm hoping to reach out to even more. So here we are into my final descent, where I'm going to pivot, turn right, and get to my school here. So this little store on the right, this Ricotta's, I'm not sure if it was named that, but it looks the same as when I was a kid. We'd go to that store all the time on the way home from school, even during the weekend. We'd walk. Remember, when in my era back then, we could walk around all over. We didn't have to worry about the things we have to worry about today. So that store looks exactly the same. Up here on the left was the church that I made my first communion on. It was called St. Stephen's. Right now it looks like it's called St. Clair's. For anyone that's there, if you can tell me, I mean, I think I read a couple years ago that the church was sold. And I asked my mom to reach out to my aunt and ask her what's going on here. And they mentioned something about the Google dolls. I don't know. So if anyone who's still in the neighborhood, let me know what's actually going on with the church. But this is where I made my first communion. Right across the street was good old Public School 33. I mean, this little wing right here, from here to here, looks like it is new because we had a lot more space. And I'm not just saying that because as a kid everything seems larger, but I know we had more space than this. Somebody can correct me who's in the area, but I believe this wing was brand new and they've extended it. But here it is. I went here from 2nd grade to 8th grade, and I graduated and went on to Seneca Vocational for 2 years before I made a move out to California. Up a little bit more, down the block, 2 more blocks, was another important area for us kids. And before I go there, I'm going to kind of show you that I wasn't lying. So here's another bridge coming into the valley. And over the bridge was a neighborhood called the First Ward. But let me show you a little sign here. Right here. Welcome to the valley, gateway to the Buffalo River. So again, another bridge surrounding the city. Looks like that one's left intact. But I'm going to move up a little bit here. And here was the Valley Center. Think of this as a Boys and Girls Club. We'd come here to play basketball, hockey, floor hockey, foosball, all kinds of things. They had televisions in there. And it was just a great way to keep kids off the street, keep them from getting in trouble. Behind the Valley Center were fields that we could practice baseball. They had basketball courts back there. So it looks like it's changed a little bit. Looks like we got bingo every Monday at 7:30. Once I get back there, I'm going to go check it out. But yeah, this was a lot of good times here. And this was just another way to keep everyone safe off the street, and just another way to bond with your friends. So cool little area. I'm almost done with the tour here, but I just wanted to show you. This is South Park. And now I'm making my way out of the valley. And you're going to see a couple more bridges, right? So this bridge, South Park and Smith, was kind of where the valley ended. Now I'm about to leave the valley. I'm going to go over a bridge here. And I want to show you. And again, I'll need somebody from the area to tell me if the railroads are still active. But you can see Buffalo had a lot of railroad activity coming through it. And it looks like that may not be the case. I can see some boxcars. I can see a caboose off in the distance. So again, I would love for someone in the area to place a comment, let me know what's going on. This other bridge was a lift bridge. And this is right where the Buffalo River was. And it'd be cool. We could stop here, whether I was driving with my dad, my grandfather, or whoever. There would be times we could stop here, and there'd be the bridge actually just lifts straight up. It's not like your other bridges where you kind of see the center kind of lift up in the middle. No, this whole bridge lifted up, and there would be boats that come through the Buffalo River here. One cool thing I saw that's new for me is, and I'm super excited that this has come to Buffalo, but I want you all to kind of see who set up shop here in Buffalo. Tesla. I'm sure that's brought a ton of jobs to the area. Super cool. And yeah, so that's my little tour. As you can see, I have been there for what did I say, 8 years. I'm going to talk about in other streams some other times that I've what other areas that I lived in Buffalo, but this was the main one right before I left Buffalo for the first time, and that was in 1982. Let me check the channel here, guys. Make sure everybody's doing okay. Let me know if everything seems to be doing all right. All right, so I'm going to assume I don't have any more warnings. I'm hoping everything's good. So again, I'm going to improve, folks. And as you watch this and as you're listening to me, again, I'm a little nervous. This is not what I do most of the time. But I'd love to get your comments on how to improve the channel and things that you would love to see in the future. So let's get into what this channel is going to be all about. I might have left Buffalo, but Buffalo has never left me. I am true blue forever, and I got my introduction into the Buffalo Bills right around 8 or 9 years old, and the man that was leading that team was my man Joe Ferguson. I was a huge Joe Ferguson fan. I think my dad refers to him as a noodle arm, but that's the guy that was leading my Bills when I got introduced to the team. He was thrown a gentleman named Bobby Chandler. Go check his stats out there on Google. This guy had hands, amazing hands, and he could catch and walk the tightrope down the sidelines, back of the end zone. He actually left the team in '79 and went to the Raiders, and I read that he actually won a Super Bowl in, I believe, '81 when the Raiders beat the Philadelphia Eagles. So pretty cool. I was a huge fan. I can remember many times in the street playing touch football, dropping back, pretending to be Joe Ferguson, throwing the ball to my man Bob Chandler. In 1980, I was fortunate enough to be able to start going to Bills games. My grandfather, who I was probably my best friend and somebody I look up to and miss dearly, but he actually bought tickets for the Bills, season tickets for the 1980 and 81 season. Joe Cribbs was a rookie in 1980. The Bills actually went 11-5, had a great season, but lost to the Chargers. And guess who he lost to? Who was quarterbacking? The great Dan Fouts. I looking back at this and I'm thinking, oh my God, these quarterbacks that I got to see play. Anyhow, a notable thing that happened in 1980 was the Bills had been losing to the Dolphins 10 straight years. 20 straight games we had lost to the Dolphins. I mean, that's incredible, right? But fortunately, in 1980, that all changed. We broke the streak. I think we beat them 17-7. And Joe Ferguson, my man, who actually started that game and finished that game, threw 5 interceptions. So he didn't have the best game, but they won the game. The fans stormed the field. They tore down the goalpost. Great memories. My grandfather and I just sat back and watched. So many good memories there. In 1981, we went as well. The most notable thing I can remember in 1981 during that season was my grandfather and I left the game against the New England Patriots. Yes, the New England Patriots. We were down by less than 7. And I don't know, maybe a couple minutes left. The Bills hadn't gotten the ball yet. I think New England was about to punt. It had to be less than or close to a minute. We leave. We start hearing these loud sounds. We're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? It was too late. We couldn't go back. Again, then we heard another loud roar. We're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? We try to rush to the car. We turn it on. The Bills had thrown a Hail Mary and beat the Patriots at the last second. So lesson learned: if your team's down by a touchdown, don't ever leave. Don't do it. I have never left a game if my team was less than, well, nowadays it's 8 points, right? Jerry Butler, another great star that I grew up with, played with the Bills. I think he came on in '79. He had some injuries in his career, but he actually got to play with Kelly later on and actually caught a touchdown pass from Kelly, and I think he shattered his ankle, and that was pretty much the end of his career. But he played along with one of my other favorite receivers, which was Andre Reed. But my guy, Jim Kelly. That's the guy, my favorite all-time player. He changed Buffalo forever. Guy took us to 4 straight Super Bowls. Yeah, it broke my heart, 4 straight years, but I mean, what an accomplishment. And the picture I put up there is Jim Kelly and Marino. Believe it or not, those two guys played 21 times, 3 times in the playoffs, and guess what? Kelly won all 3 of them. And then they played 18 times in regular season, and Kelly had the best of them. I think Kelly was 11-7 against Marino. So how cool was that? I mean, I got to see Dan Marino. And, you know, a lot of people talk about Dan Marino being one of the greatest. Jim Kelly's right there, and Jim Kelly had a better record against them and went to more Super Bowls. Another great, Thurman Thomas. We all know who Thurman is. I mean, this guy could catch the ball, could run. He was, just an incredible player. Andre Reed, my second favorite Bills player. That guy had hands, unbelievable hands. He would take the catches over the middle. He would absorb the abuse, and he had shockingly surprising speed, and loved watching him. Bruce Smith, one of our best defensive ends ever, one of the best defensive ends in the game of football, period. He was on that same team. This team was loaded. And then Van Miller. I have to bring up Van Miller. The Bills have been blessed. Buffalo has been blessed, both the Bills and the Sabres, to have 2 of the best commentators ever. Van Miller passed away in 2015, rest his soul. But that guy, I listened to so much on the radio. When I was young, I listened to a lot of football on the radio, and I listened to a lot of hockey on the radio, and I'm going to talk about hockey in a little bit. And Van Miller was the sports announcer, I think, for 37 straight years with the Bills. I think that's a record for an announcer with one team. And he's known for a lot of great calls. I was trying to get an audio clip from him, but nothing on YouTube did it justice. He's kind of known for, let me bring it up here. He's kind of known for his call when the Bills came back against the Oilers in the playoff. Let's see here. His call here, I'll try to do it justice. The Bills were making this incredible comeback against the Oilers in the playoff, led by Frank Reich, because Jim Kelly had been injured. But, it was like, it's bedlam. It is pandemonium. It is fandemonium. It is fantastic. And he's well known for that. He does it much better. Please look it up on YouTube. But, so we're going to be talking a lot of sports, guys. Of course, we're going to be talking the Bills. I'm True Blue forever. So let's go on to some of the other things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a lot about the Sabres. Probably after the Bills, this is my next favorite sports team. My dad's a big follower of the Sabres. He's been following them longer than I have. He watches them religiously on DirecTV. He's got the package and everything. And so we're going to talk a lot about the Sabres. How lucky was I coming in as a kid, starting to get interest in the Sabres. And we had this thing called the French Connection. Gilbert Perrault, Rick Martin, Rene Robert, three of the best players in hockey at that time. They all played on the same line. Super exciting times. It was a great team. They got to one Stanley Cup. Unfortunately, they lost. But it just goes to show you the quality of hockey back then. This team should have won multiple Stanley Cups. There are so many other players I can mention that played with these guys. This team was stacked. But unfortunately, we were unable to bring it home. Danny Gare, another one of my favorites. Dominic Hasek, arguably one of the best goaltenders ever. I mean, he played with the Sabres. This guy was unbelievable. I think he was a gymnastic in a former life. This guy could bend ways that no one else could, and he was incredible. Unfortunately, he didn't get a Stanley Cup with us, but he did leave us and go on to Detroit, where he was able to get 2 Stanley Cups, and I think he even has a gold medal for hockey in the Olympics. Alex Mogilny, another great player for us, a Russian who we drafted, was lightning quick, had some very solid seasons. I can go on. There were so many good Sabres. I'm going to also mention Brad May. Now, you might be saying, if you're a longtime Sabre follower, why am I mentioning Brad May? Brad May was known for fighting. He was actually a decent hockey player as well. But, man, he got into a lot of fights. But the one thing that Brad May is tied to in history is the great call from Rick Jeanneret, who was who is still, I believe, the announcer for the Sabres. And he made one of the greatest calls in history. And I'm going to play that for you right now. So give me a second here. And let's roll the tape. And if you don't get chills with this one, I don't know. I'm going to have to check you.
Putting it up to LaFontaine. He gets tripped up, gets it to May, and over the line. Here's May going in on goal. He shoots. He scores! Mayday! 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 Brad May wins it in overtime!
Man, that still gives me chills when I hear that. If anyone can remember that call, that is, I mean, not only from Buffalo's perspective, but historians, other folks, other fans of the sport, they say that that might be the greatest call ever. Mayday, Mayday, still gives me chills when I hear it. I don't know. Tell me in the comments what some of your favorite calls were by Rick Jeanneret. I know that's got to be up there, especially if you're the older generation like myself. Anyhow, still just checking in here. Let me know if everything's going okay. Haven't seen a remark there for a bit. Dad, Rick, Tom, let me know if things still look okay. I'm going to move on here. So obviously we're going to talk a lot about the Sabres as well. They're going to, and I hope to have some guests. I'm going to even get my dad on here. I'm going to try if I can work out the contract with him. We're going to try to get my dad on here. The next one, other topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Bisons. We're going to talk about the Bandits. The Bandits are a professional lacrosse team that plays in Buffalo indoors. Super exciting. The Bisons have been they're the minor league club for the Toronto Bandits. Pretty cool stuff. I'm put in here the Buffalo Bison or Buffalo Stallions. This was an indoor soccer professional team that I got to see. They're no longer in existence, but super fun. Imagine indoor soccer. I mean, the scoring was off the charts. No more of this 1-0, 2-0 stuff. If you like scoring, it was all about scoring. So super fun. We're going to talk about some of the good food in Buffalo, and of course, we're going to talk about the home of the original chicken wing. There it is, folks, the Anchor Bar, downtown Buffalo. We'll get into that in another stream. Again, a lot of sports, but it's not just about sports. We're going to talk about the history of Buffalo, some of the great foods that you don't know about. Yeah, everyone knows about the chicken wing, or at least you better. But there are some other really good food from coming out of Buffalo. And when we have that stream, that session, I'm going to get some folks on to kind of talk to me about some of their favorite places to go. Not only to get chicken wings, but the other foods we're going to talk about. Niagara Falls. My gosh, beautiful. Again, we'll talk about places inside and outside of Buffalo that you can go visit. Niagara Falls, one of the most beautiful places. If you've ever been there, it takes your breath away. So I was privy to growing up there, and growing up, I remember seeing it the first few times. I'm like, oh yeah, wow, that is amazing. And then I went back later in life, and I'm like, oh my God, I appreciated it a lot more. But again, if you ever get a chance to go back this way, you got to check it out. Both the Buffalo side, or the U.S. side, and the Canadian side are beautiful. So can't go wrong on either side. We're going to talk about golf, folks. We got the U.S. Open and the British Open coming up within the next 2 months. And I'm going to have some guests on to talk about golf. I'm a golf fan. My game is terrible, but I love the game of golf. And I'm going to have some, at least one guest who's very good at golf. And he actually does some podcasts. So we actually used to do a podcast about golf. So we're going to get into that. As I said, I'm going to have some guest speakers. I'm going to have my father joining me at some point. I hope he knows that. I'm going to have my good friend out there, Troy. Yes, Toronto Bandits. No, Troy, I did not. I'm going to have my good friend Troy out here be a special guest. He's a professional speaker. He'll get on here, and unfortunately, I've known him for many years. He's my best friend, but he's a Dolphins fan. So don't hold that against him. But he and I just have a lot of fun during the year talking about our teams. And I'll get him on, and he'll talk about Miami. I do want to mention that back in 1980, when we broke that streak against the Dolphins, another great quarterback I got to see, Bob Greasy, started that game. Now, he was pulled in the second half for Don Strock, but, I mean, I'm just looking back, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, Dan Fouts, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, all these great teams, Bob Greasy, all these great quarterbacks that I got to see growing up. Pretty amazing. Go Fins. Yeah, no thank you. So anyhow, those are all the other topics we're going to be talking about. And hopefully more. Again, based on your comments, let me know what you want to talk about. Let me know let me know how I can improve this channel, not only for me, but for you as well. I want to make this a fun thing. I want to make this a weekly thing. And it is going to be, I hope, a lot of fun for all of us. So again, I appreciate you joining us. This channel wouldn't be anything without you joining. I appreciate the guys that got up super early and had breakfast with me. For those that watch the channel or watch this recording at a later time, correct me where I might have been wrong. Fact check me. Did I say something wrong? Correct me, and then I'll correct that on a following stream. So again, appreciate everybody. This was just kind of my introduction. I hope I didn't embarrass the kids too much. I told them I was going to do this. They were very supportive. I told a lot of my friends I was going to do this. They were very supportive. And a shout out to my friend Tony, who helped me with getting the logo and getting some of the material together. He's going to be one of my guests as well in the future. And again, like I said, once a week. I hope to start streaming maybe 2 to 3 times at some point. But in order for me to do that, I'm probably going to need some guests to fill in for me from time to time. I said nothing wrong about the Dolphins. And midlife crisis eating at Denny's. Yes, I don't think so. Denny's, I love Denny's. It's not a thing on the East Coast. I don't believe it's out here on the West Coast. I'm just going to go through the chat here a little bit, see if I missed anything. My son Caleb's on there. Hello, Caleb. Thanks for getting up early. I know this is unusual for you to get up this early. Appreciate it. Did I not say the Toronto Blue Jays, Dad? Who did I say? I don't know. Maybe I did say the Toronto Bandits. But you're correct. The Bisons are the minor league team for the Toronto Blue Jays. Sorry, got that mixed up. Thanks for correcting me there, Dad. And now I get it, Troy. Now I get it. But we have the Buffalo Bandits, okay? The Buffalo Bandits are in Buffalo. And super exciting team to watch. And again, lacrosse, very big on the East Coast. It's made its way out here, but it doesn't nearly have the following out here. At least I haven't seen it. Maybe I'm wrong. But back east, it's huge. Anyhow, and no, I didn't say anything wrong about those Dolphins, Troy. I respect them. We're still going to whoop them year after year. Anyhow, guys, I'm just here to learn more about Buffalo. I love the wings. Yes, you know, one thing I want to say, and we'll have sessions about the Buffalo chicken wing. You know, I can tell you firsthand, I've never been able to find a chicken wing out here in California, no matter where I go, as good as what you find in Buffalo. I will say that my wife took it upon herself to look up a recipe, and she makes amazing wings. So she kind of gets me by missing those wings, but nothing like the wings from Buffalo. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just how they cook it. I don't know if it's the sauce, because you would think, well, what is this? Just a wing with sauce. No, there's something special about it. And there's other food. I don't want to spoil the following streams. There's other food coming out of Buffalo that's just amazing. Buffalo Wild Wings. You need to make you know, Rick, I know you're heading out to the East Coast soon. You need to work your way up north and get out to Buffalo and go to the Anchor Bar here and try the wings there. And then you tell me. And then, yeah, Caleb, my son, saying Mom's wings are superb. Caleb's never had the wings back in Buffalo, and I hope to take he and my other son, Jonah, to Buffalo. I'm hoping to get out there this year. We were looking last year, but you know what happened last year, the pandemic. So we are going to get them out there. I want them to go to experience the wings in Buffalo. And then, Caleb, you can kind of compare. But, of course, you always got to say Mom's wings are best. So, again, that's it, folks. I think we're going to end it here. Again, I just wanted to introduce myself, kind of talk about my ties to Buffalo, and also what the channel was going to be about. I'm looking forward to the future. I hope the small glitches that might have occurred didn't cause too much of a interruption for you. YouTube was telling me there was some problems. I'm going to talk to some of you that I know, and you can tell me what you saw during the stream. Anyhow, everyone, have a great day. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you next week, where we're going to talk about the 2021 Buffalo Bills draft choices. So review those draft choices. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. Did we make the right moves? Next week, coming to you. Talk later, everybody. Goodbye now.